Can we go towards nuclear? Are you hearing the country areas being softer towards nuclear than perhaps the Greenies?
Well, Australians support nuclear energy. That's clear. Even the ABC, when they polled it recently, found almost 60% of Australians support nuclear energy. Another poll the other day showed that a plurality of Labor voters now support nuclear energy. So the tide has turned here in this country. But sadly for us, I don't think the Labor Party shows any sign of listening to the people on nuclear energy. They are doubling down on their failed renewable energy agenda because they seem, I just think now in some sense, strapped to these renewable energy investors. They've made so many promises on renewable energy that they're going to see this out one way or another, and that could be very painful for all of us. They've just announced a massive new scheme, which they won't tell us how much it will cost, but the speculation is in the tens of billions of dollars that it will cost the taxpayer to support renewables. They keep saying renewable energy is the cheapest form of power, but if it is the cheapest form, why does it keep needing so many subsidies from the taxpayer? And this is just another massive subsidy bucket that's going to be poured over foreign investors largely investing in these things. Now, you're right to point to Europe. Most European countries, almost all, are going towards nuclear energy. In fact, at the climate conference that lots of private jets will be flying into Dubai in the next week or two, that's going to kick off. Our allies, the US and European countries, are calling for nuclear power to grow 3 times over the next decade. And so Chris Bowen in Australia, little old Australia, there will be very isolated among our friends around the world when he goes there and says he doesn't want any nuclear energy, despite Australia having the largest uranium reserves in the world. It's totally absurd.
Yes, I was speaking to a German economist last week who was saying that Germany majorly regrets mothballing its nuclear power plants because, unlike France, they have to now go and lean on coal instead of reverting to nuclear energy, which is damaging their international commitments. And they had all the facilities there to go and get the power, but they decided to remove their backup systems. And we've done the same thing. We've blown up our coal-fired power stations, and now we are going to be faced with some very difficult engineering hard walls that are coming towards us rapidly. But you put up an interesting tweet yesterday that read, and I quote, "Why is the government excluding fossil fuels from its capacity investment scheme auctions? If renewables are cheaper, why would fossil fuels need to be excluded from the auction? Shouldn't renewables beat them every day of the week?" End quote. What were you getting at there?
Well, I think it's probably worthwhile just explaining briefly what the government's capacity investment scheme is going to do. This is just another energy policy that we're announcing to fix the multitude of failures we've presided over, including my own side of politics. It's been a total disaster the last decade as we've doubled down on this green agenda. But what they're going to do now is run effectively a reverse auction. They're going to say, here, we need this much power. They're saying 32 gigawatts of reliable power, and they want private sector companies to bid for that power. And it's a reverse auction in the sense that they'll take the lowest price. They'll take the lowest price that the taxpayer, that you will be on the hook to pay to generate this particular outcome. Now, if renewables are the cheapest, which we're told by the CSIRO and AEMO, the energy regulator, and all these different bodies, and of course Chris Bowen, we're told this like it's some kind of mantra that we meditate to and try and lull our minds away from thinking about how much our power bill is going to cost next. That's that mantra of the renewables being the cheapest. Well, if it were the cheapest, you wouldn't have to exclude any other technologies. It would win the reverse auction. It would have the lowest price. But the fact they are excluding coal and gas, to me, indicates that they'd be very worried that actually coal could come in cheaper. Gas even, depending on where it is in the country, could come in cheaper. And therefore, that'd be very embarrassing for them all if that were the case, because it would completely destroy these ridiculous economic models they rely on at the moment to say that renewable energy is the cheapest. Now, look, what we should be pushing for here, regardless of the exclusion, is the full transparency of the prices that are paid here. It would seem to me the government is already making noises that they can't reveal those details because they're commercial in confidence. We deserve to know how much your dollars, how much your taxes are on the hook here to pay for the obsessions of the Labor Party, the Labor and the Greens parties. And it'll be very interesting if those prices come back in higher than what the CSIRO estimates in its Gen Cost modelling. Because if it does, that modelling is then completely ridiculous.